Today, we're going to talk about a word you think you know, but one that's quietly morphing into something much bigger right before our eyes. So let's just dive right in, starting with a simple question. Seriously, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Because this one little word has this surprisingly deep, complex meaning that stretches all the way from old school spy novels to the absolute cutting edge of artificial intelligence. At its heart, though, it's always about one thing: the power to act with a purpose. Maybe your brain goes straight to the classic spy, right? A shadowy figure, a master of deception, always tangled up in secrets and lies to get the mission done. The kind of character you'd find in a Cold War thriller. Or hey, maybe it's a pop culture icon, a superhero agent whose story in the movies or comics is really just the starting point. They become this archetype that fans then take and explore in really profound ways, digging into their trauma and their humanity. Or, maybe it's the kind of agent where you're in charge, the character you control in a video game, where every single move, every decision you make determines their success or failure. And today, more and more, the word agent is being used to describe something totally new: a digital entity, an autonomous AI that can see its world, make its own plans, and act on them all by itself. All right, so let's start with that classic spy, and honestly, there's no better place to look than John le Carré's masterpiece, A Perfect Spy. So meet Magnus Pym. For a guy like him, being an agent isn't about laser pens or exploding watches. It's about the art of manipulating identity. His power, his agency, comes from his ability to spin a believable lie to become someone else entirely to get what he needs. So, you see, the classic agent's toolkit, it's deeply, fundamentally human. It's built on social engineering, on charisma, on a web of shady contacts, and just knowing how to disappear. These are tools for navigating the world of people, not lines of code. Okay, now let's jump from the page to the screen and see how this whole idea of an agent evolves in popular culture, especially in fan communities where these characters really take on a life of their own. This little blurb, it's from a fan fiction summary about Marvel's Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. In this world, he's not just a government tool, he becomes a kind of cultural agent, a symbol that fans use to explore some really deep stuff. And notice how the whole focus just shifts. These stories aren't about the next mission. They're about what's going on inside the agent's head, their struggle with memory, their trauma, their search for who they are now. The agent becomes a vehicle for exploring what it means to find your own humanity after you've been treated like a weapon. Which brings us to a third type of agent, and this is the one where we, the audience, are sitting right in the driver's seat. In an interactive game like the Phantom Agent, you're not just a spectator, you are the agent. Every single choice, even a split-second decision in the middle of a fight, directly changes your character's skills and shapes who they become. And this is such a brilliant way to show agency in its purest form. It's a straight-up cause and effect relationship. The player's decisions are literally the only thing that matters, defining the agent's skill, their success, and ultimately their entire story. Okay, time for a hard pivot. Let's jump into the world of technology, because here that word agent has taken on a very, very specific and incredibly powerful new meaning. This is agentic AI. And the key word, the absolute game changer, is autonomously. See, unlike a normal computer program, you don't give an AI agent a step-by-step list of what to do. You give it a high-level goal, and it figures out the path to get there all on its own. Let me put it this way. An AI co-pilot is your helpful friend in the passenger seat. It gives you suggestions, but you're still the one driving. An AI agent can actually take the wheel. You don't tell it how to book a flight, you just say, "Book me the best flight to London," and it handles the whole shebang. And it all works because of this simple but incredibly powerful three-step loop that just repeats. First, it senses the world around it. Then, its brain decides on the next best action to reach its goal. And finally, its hands act, using digital tools to execute that action. Sense, decide, act, over and over again until the job is done. So let's pull all these threads together. We've got the spy, the superhero, the video game hero, and the AI. They seem like they're from totally different worlds, right? But what if they're not? What if they're all just different flavors of the exact same core concept? So let's real quick revisit our human spy's toolkit. It's all about having the right information, the ability to influence others, access to tools, and a memory of what's happened in the past.
Now this is where it gets really cool. Look how the AI Agents Toolkit is a direct digital parallel of the spies. A cover story for an AI is having access to a specialized knowledge base using a technique called RAG. Charm and deception is just a sophisticated planning loop. A disappearing sports car is a tool, just like an API call to search the web or send an email. And both absolutely depend on memory to inform what they do next.
And this is not just a theory. This is happening right now. A whole ecosystem of frameworks is popping up to build these digital agents. You can literally assemble a crew of specialized AIs, a researcher, a writer, a coder, and have them work together to solve problems, just like a team of human experts. And that brings us to the big takeaway. All of our stories about agents, from spies to superheroes, they were never just fun stories. They were explorations. They were our way of wrestling with what it means to act in the world with purpose, with tools, and with a sense of self. We've been building the blueprint for AI agents for centuries without even knowing it. And so, we're left with one last, really big thought to chew on. For all of human history, we've been the only true agents on this planet. But as our machines evolve from just being tools into being autonomous actors, with their own goals, their own tools, their own memories, we have to start asking ourselves, what does that mean for us and for our own identity in a world that we're now sharing with a new kind of intelligence?